What is Angel Reese doing on the 50 most influential people in sports figures? Are you kidding me? A woman that rebounds and shows up half naked to games. They're just anyway. There's so much I want. Just start with the Sports Illustrated cover and wait till. Have you looked at this, Steve? The list and all they got about 9 black women on this force. Flajay Johnson, some basketball player that raps at LSU, is one of the 50 most influential people in sports. Cut it out. And help me out here while I gather more thoughts.
Couple of things. I will say that about that cover with Miss Reese. It's an upgrade from some of the recent swimsuit edition cover models. I will give them that. Now, here's the thing. If it's really about empowering the league and giving as the kids say, the flowers to those who deserve it, if you're going to put a black female from that league on that real estate, shouldn't it be Asia, not Angel Reese? But why did they put her on it? Because there's a direct connection to a certain player who hails from Iowa City. In fact, you talk about the expansion. Expansion, why? Because of the recent surge of interest. Why? All this other stuff. There's one player that is the common denominator. It's the one that you've jumped off the bandwagon. And I have to be the Asian driver steering it back on course. All of this has to do with Caitlin Clark. You might as well just get back on the bandwagon. I will let you drive it again. Come back, Jason. You've gone astray. Look, I know you're a little.
My jersey's out here. I almost slept in it last night, or around one of my arms. Almost slept in it last night. But my jersey. Look, they are going to force me back on the bandwagon. But again, in my view, if she doesn't clean up her behavior, she's going to be part of the problem. I don't. Did you see the fight last night with Brittney Griner and Rikeya Jackson Rikeya Jackson? Stuff. Yeah. Do we have that clip? Do we have that clip of them fighting, or do we have highlights of that? Brittney Griner and Rikeya Jackson went toe to toe. I don't want to see a bunch of women acting like men. I don't want to see that scuffle. And that's what I'm saying. Like all the flopping and the whining. I don't want to see Caitlin Clark act like LeBron James and Luka Doncic. I don't want to see it. And I don't, Steve, and I know I'm rambling, I'm going off here, and I hope the audience can follow me. I'm trying hard to follow. I got triggered right before the show seeing this list. Let me rattle off 50 most influential sports figures. Listen to this, who's on this list. Simone Biles, Don Staley, Candace Parker, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, Juju Watkins, Flajay Johnson, Elle Duncan, Andrea Carter, and what's the woman? I can't pronounce her last name. Chimawike, Chini, Awanka Mike, or what? She's from the NBA studio team. Another black. Did you just listen to that? They're all virtually from the WNBA. A league that didn't matter 3 months ago now has 8 of the most influential people.
Right, and before a certain common denominator stepped into that league, no one cared about him. No one knew about him. No one wanted to care or know about him. The fact that you have Angel Reese on that cover is a direct result because 2 things went on. Although we can't put the white girl on the cover. So let's virtue signal and appease everybody by putting on her main perceived rival. So by having Angel Reese on the cover is like basically saying, again, that's the Caitlin Clark effect. All of those names you mentioned a year ago, I believe most of the general populace would not know who they are. They know who they are a little bit, if at all, because of one person. Again, Caitlin is the common denominator.
Steve, you just took me to another great point, and butter duck for cover, because this opinion is very dangerous. There's nothing better at the end of a long day than sitting down in your favorite easy chair with a glass of your favorite whiskey. And hey, If it turns out that with every glass, you're helping to support a great American cause, doesn't get much better than that, doesn't taste much better than that. It's time to chart your own course with Flying Ace whiskeys from Craft Co. Inspired by generations of American aviators and proudly made right here in the United States, Flying Ace is not only making amazing whiskeys, they're also committed to supporting our brave troops and their families through their partnership with Folds of Honor. They're providing scholarships to families of America's fallen or disabled, and these scholarships allow families to begin to chart their own new course. After experiencing great sacrifice, Flying Ace whiskeys are American proud because they're American made, and they're American proud because they're helping to support our heroes and their families. Don't wait around. Today's the day to get your own and see what all the hype is about. Buy online at flyingacesspirits.com. Use the promo code AMERICA to get free shipping. That's Flying Aces, Ace with an S at the end, spirits.com. Promo code AMERICA for free shipping. You know what I'm going to start calling Caitlin Clark? Kunta Kinte. Because you got a bunch of colonizers hopping on her back, hopping on her shoulders, riding her. Caitlin Clark is the slave that's building the WNBA, and all these black women are climbing all over top of her and piggybacking her to relevance and money. She's Kunta Kinte. These are
the C and C, yeah.
The C. They're colonizers. Yeah. Don Staley, Candace Parker. How is she one of the most? Candace Parker, she hasn't played in probably 10 years. I get that she's on sometimes on the NBA studio show on TNT, but is she more influential than Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith and Ernie? How? They're not on the list, but she is.
I mean,
what are
Jason,
we doing?
Jason, is Adrian Wojnarowski on that list? Because he just announced his retirement, and I think he's going to run the same. No, he's influential. Now, if he's not on that list, and she is, and all those other basketball media members are from a league that, quite frankly, no one cared about really 3-4 months ago, that list is not legitimate. But I've seen this in boxing and other times you do top 25 influential people in any industry. There's a lot of virtue signaling where you now start to basically do your own version of DEI, that you got to have a certain amount of minorities, certain people of religion, color, sexual orientation. Those lists really are not honest. They're basically a rainbow coalition of, hey, look at me. I'm progressive. I'm not one of the races. That's what those lists really come down to.
Steve, you can't be slipping in little bombs like you just slipped in and then move on to the other top. You just dropped a Woj bomb. He's retiring?
He announced it himself. That's his final Woj bomb. He's walking away from the media game. And he's going to run the St. Bonaventures, that basketball power. He's going to be their head of operations. I'm like, that's a man carving his own path. He wants to be happy. Doggone it, Woj, you be happy. Yeah.
I'm going back to the WNBA, but I am going to take a moment to talk about that just for a second. Hats off to Adrian Wojnarowski. ESPN's paying him like $8-9 million a year to put out tweets. And he's walking away from that because, again, it does ruin your life. And he's made, in his mind, he's like, I've made enough money. I'm good. I respect that he's not any good on TV. This is actually a good decision. He's a great tweeter. Sure, he's not any good on TV. He's a great tweeter. But I respect the hell out of this, that he's doing this. Hats off to him.
Jason, could you imagine Peter Gammons back in the early 90s, right around that era? Could you imagine Peter Gammons, who was the baseball reporter of record nationally, even as me as a regular jabroni in LA, I understood his impact and his influence. Can you imagine Peter Gammons in 95, 96 saying, you know what? I'm done with the Globe. I'm done with ESPN. I'm going to become the general manager of the Toledo Mud Hens. You know why? Because that's what makes me happy. That's what it would be like. Respect to Woj. Great run.
He's a Catholic boy. I'm gonna have to do some thought about this after the show. I'm gonna have to dig into this. Good for Adrian Wojnarowski. I respect the hell out of this. Back to my WNBA ranting and raving. So, Steve, I want to talk about this expansion deal. And again, I know you haven't watched no one's watched nearly as much WNBA basketball as I have this year. But this expansion, they're drunk on Caitlin Clark. Kunta Kinte has them drunk and thinking, hey, we can now expand. And I think the rosters are 12. They're going to add 36 more roster spots to the WNBA. This is a mistake. I watched the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is great. There's a few other players that are great, but there's a lot of bad players in the WNBA. And you start spreading this out,
I mean, just look at the stimulus package Caitlin Clark is. Forget Donald Trump. She's already creating black jobs. Oh, my God.
If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.